Ladies and gentlemen, happy Monday and welcome back to a brand new week. You can't be welcome back to a brand new week. You enter a new week. That's what you do.
Where did they go? If you want to welcome them back, where did they go?
I'm not sure.
Where did they go?
I'm not sure that one.
It is almost week 7. Is it week 7 by this time?
Who knows at this point?
That is true. Welcome back to Table Talk, guys. It's a new episode with your boys. How's it going, Menu, over in that side? Just fun fact. I haven't seen Menu for like 2 months. Just saying.
Yeah, correct.
How's the family?
I think we're okay.
Okay.
Everyone's just kind of like chilling, doing their own thing. It's getting harder and harder to decide what to eat for meals already.
Mom is like, the last time she spoke to me, she said she's getting really bored about just eating every day, and like that being the only thing she's looking forward to. Pretty much. That's rough.
I think it's a good problem to have, to be honest. How many days has it's been? What at the time of recording this is 45?
If I'm not wrong, we're well over the 40-day mark already.
Oh my goodness.
We have more to go, but just some great updates. Malaysia is down to 55 infected cases a day, and that's the total country rate. So we're doing actually not bad. Out of a country of a few million, we have 55 new cases. The thing is that this is only phase 4, and to get it down to the single digit, that's going to take a while more. But that's the safe point.
Quick, let's bet some money. Do you think it's going to be extended above mid-May?
Yes.
Beyond?
It's either gonna be extended or staggered down. Like not everyone is gonna be able to leave the houses right away.
Yeah, definitely.
But on that note, I think it's a great thing, a great time to say Selamat Ramadan to all our friends who are celebrating.
Puasa, yes. Correct,
because I think this year has been interesting, man. We can't go out to the normal Ramadan bazaars. We can't go and get the good old ayam masak merah and keropok lekos. I hope you guys are doing well at home. It should be helping you guys who are fasting because literally you don't have to do much,
Correct.
Just stay home and sleep. Some of my friends are cheating, just saying. They are staying up the whole night so they can eat the whole night, then they go sleep in the morning.
That's the goal, man.
I'm not sure if that is the purpose of Ramadan, but you do you, as long as you feel good about it.
For everyone else who is not fasting, I hope you guys are keeping well. That you guys are all alive and healthy, and you are safe with your families. Every time we talk about stuff on the podcast, we always remind you guys to be healthy, be safe, especially during these interesting times. Today, we want to walk away a little bit from the MCO, MRO, CCB
metaphorically walk away. We are not going anywhere at this point.
We're not going anywhere. Just to do a couple of shout-outs that has happened in this past week. Our Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, wonderful lady, very cute. Obviously doesn't know what she's doing. Went on an interview and said that the way to move forward in helping artists and people in the industry is to have them do singing competitions.
Sorry, what? Like now? Now?
I don't know. She obviously didn't understand the question, and she obviously didn't give a very good answer. So a lot of people are just like, what the smack is happening? And this draws me back to the other observation we made about our current health minister. There are just people in positions, right, that just don't make sense. And
yes, that is true.
This arts, culture and tourism minister, the minister of women and children and domestic affairs, and our health minister, spotlights on them because they have just been making ridiculous claims. So we as a people of the country are left wondering what the smackola is going on, seriously.
I mean, we don't want to make this episode about politics, but I think people need to understand. Like, I guess we don't need to understand anything, lah. The worst, the pros and cons of the current government is. This is probably, yes, the whole backdoor thing succeeded, and whoever this current government is the government we never voted for. So, their plan succeeded, just that they happen to succeed in the worst time possible for a government that is not capable of taking care of a country properly. And really, who's doing the real work is the health minister. Not the general
director.
Health director. Correct, not the health minister.
Sorry, got motorcycle outside my house.
Shut
up.
Like the health minister should. Also, basically, who is doing the work right now is this guy. He is the hero of all Malaysia right now, and he's actually been. What's the word? He's been acknowledged internationally as the one of the leading health experts. Is it leading health experts or leading health leaders?
Top doctor.
Correct. The top doctors in the world in the fight against COVID. So this is a shout out to you, dear sir.
Datuk Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah. Megan, you can't just say this dude. Go and like check out his name or something, dude.
Dear sir, I was like, hoping someone will help me check out the name. But yeah, thank you, doctor. You are the real hero in this situation. You are really making sure everything runs.
I'll freaking vote for this guy as Prime Minister, man. This guy keeping a cool head every day, giving us reports. Oh, I love you, man.
Yeah, he's just doing it. He's just doing it right. And I would say that he had to make some very tough calls as well as it comes to the lockdown. But for the government and all the random people saying random things or TikTok dancers lah, singing competitions lah, drinking warm water, I cannot lah. Like, there has never been a time that Malaysia has truly seen why you should actually vote for a proper candidate. This is the time. I think the whole world is taking a good look at their own leaders right now and saying like, oh, actually these guys just want the fame and the money and the power and actually don't know how to run country and where everything is going to shit. So let's pivot away from politics for a while. What is going on today is the fact that, we started this podcast off with like, how's things going on at home. Mingyu came across a very interesting topic the other day while he was talking to Raj. If we could actually do a 3% podcast, that'd be great. But desperate times. What was your conversation about, Mingyu?
So basically, I think with all this time being spent at home with your family, you are in a space that you cannot escape from. I think that's the best way to kind of like put it, right? And I think tensions run high because, people usually are out and about and then they come back and then, you only have brief interactions. And I mean, not everyone is blessed with the gift of communication. So I understand that people are struggling to communicate with their family and whoever they're staying with, spouses as well. But we don't want to focus so much on the negative part of that. We want to talk about how some people in this situation, it comes as a wake-up call to them that maybe they are considering moving out and living alone. So now I don't want to snowball into before we snowball into things like you should be grateful you have a roof over your head, you're going to waste money and all that. Let's leave that for a different conversation. Let's talk about the whole premise as Asians and moving out and why it is potentially a good thing and also a bad thing for an individual such as whoever's listening to this and is about to move out. So a very good personal case here is that Minghan, I mean, our family, we've been living together since, we were kids and everything. So Minghan only moved out when he got married.
That's 3 years, like less than 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And for me, I was about to move out actually before this COVID thing happened. And then now that it's happened, I can't. But I'm not married yet and I'm not getting married anytime soon, so that's why it's a bit of a different situation. But that said, I have lived on my own for 2 years, so it is quite interesting. So let's jump into this topic of conversation and let's start off with the base fact that Asians in general don't usually leave their family home unless they get married, right?
Right. I think it's very different in cultures where our friends or cousins in the States, they are expected to move out as soon as they become a legal adult or, pay rent or, just get out there and be independent. Where else, I would say, our culture over here, as much as we want to give shit to our Asian parents, like being crazy and, super disciplined up and strict, right? There is a very reverse effect of it. Like Asian parents actually find it harder to let their kids go. And do enjoy the fact that someone's around to order around. I think there's a very big difference in culture when it comes to moving out, especially. I mean, we cannot downplay the fact that it's very expensive to move out in our country, and just the current economic conditions in our country does not. How would I say? You would pretty much be digging your own hole into the ground if you moved off like out of the house right as you finished college. Just saying. I know, but shout out to people who actually moved out because they had to be in a different state and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure as well. Your families are helping you pay rent. They're giving you allowance and everything, right? So
For students, yeah, definitely.
there's all kinds of conditions and stuff, but moving out isn't a norm in our society. It's not something that parents expect you to do. I mean, they always say like, "Wow, it'll be great," it'll be great. But I think when it comes down to it, more often than not, when a kid finally moves out is on the wedding day or like around the wedding season. That was like the official move out, and a lot of parents break down and cry and like, "Oh my gosh, I'm losing my baby," and the kind of thing. There's a very different culture of moving out in Malaysia. But I guess we could start with that. Like we are two different positions on the board today. Mingyu, who has the option of moving out, but also the option of not moving out, and myself, which basically there's no way I have to move out because I think it just wouldn't make sense to build another family within the same house. Which has space for one family, I guess, and in the respect of my wife, I think a lot of couples would benefit from a new environment of privacy to build their own homes. So, what was your topic of conversation with Raj Mahal that spurred up this discussion on your side?
So I think a lot of it was just realization that that our parents and us, I mean, bless their souls, all our parents, we're grateful to them. Let's kind of outline that. But I think maybe sometimes parents and children find it difficult to communicate with each other on where they are in life, right? And so sometimes I know this happens to a lot of our listeners and followers as well, that they are maybe of a certain age in their 20s already, where even not even 20s, young, even 30s, right? And some of them are struggling with trying to help their parents understand that they're not children anymore. But their parents, because they've raised us and they've seen us grown up since like we were kids, they will always still see us as their children, right? And so the nagging and the advice and taking care of will always happen no matter what. And especially being in the same space, being in the same house all this time is difficult for, I guess, the children and the parents to come to an understanding that you cannot, you shouldn't be treating me like this, or I shouldn't be treating you like this because you are an adult as well, and you have your own decision. So even things like cleaning up your laundry, waking up late, stuff like that, people, I mean, things that ideally you should be doing anyway, you get nagged for it and you don't like it, and there's a lot of tension. So the conversation with Raj was, how can we as young people today be respectful of our parents and grateful for everything they've done? How can we then help ourselves grow in that department? So I had this conversation with my parents, my mom more specifically recently, and she asked me this question. She's like, how come you don't cook at all? And I was like, well, to be honest, I don't see the need to. Then she was like, but you stayed in UK for 2 years and you cook in like every day. Why don't you cook back in Malaysia? And so I thought about it, and I realized that I function, and I think a lot of people also do this, they function out of necessity. It's only when you need to, you do it, right? And I think it's not a bad or good thing. I just feel like some people are just like that. And I know that there are options like going out to buy food or, getting Grab food or whatever. But for the act of like physically cooking, it's not something that I feel I need to do it like now, especially, because, we work and everything and you come back and you're just so tired. But for me in England, I didn't think about it because I was trying to save money, and I mean, it's a different thing to cook for one person and 4 people and like a whole family, right? But I know that if I was living alone, I would definitely cook more for myself. It's because I know that right now they would cook, or they would, I would order food for them, and so that's why I don't function like that. What about you? Like, how did you feel that was something that changed, that the necessity thing?
I think that, like, literally just talking about your situation first, right? I think a lot of people right now during the MCO are going through that as well, because this whole syndrome of returning to the nest, right? Like after a lot of students have done their time overseas, and suddenly they have to come back and stay with their families. So there was like a few waves of experiencing this when I was growing up with my friends during my time, where people were like going to college, finishing work. The first one was when people went overseas, finished their degree, and I guess decided to come back home instead of finding a job over there, right?
Yeah.
Then the second time was when people were getting sent home because, like, for example, a huge bunch of my friends were in Australia. And what happened was the government just decided, like, you know what, we need to prioritize our own local residents. And a lot of my friends got deported, not kind of deported, like more like their visas were just, cancelled. And they could not work any longer and they had to come home. So these guys spent their whole studying life into their first few years of working life alone. And then suddenly coming back to their families. And now, of course, we are in the MCO. And a lot of people who have been staying alone in the cities or who have been staying in separate states. Like, for example, our good friend Desmond, who is also listening into this right now, they have moved out from their family home, but now have been given the option to move back because either, number one, work is on a standstill, there's not much that can be done. Number two, their own circumstances, like, for example, Desmond has a pregnant wife, so it only makes sense, to go back to their family home. So, it's a better option, right? Or third, they just been let off, so they got nowhere to go. And rent. I mean, basically, there's no work to do, so there's no rent to pay. It's a safer option to come back home. The common factor of all of this is, like, for what Mingyu just talked about, when you have lived alone and been separate from your family for a while and you come back, suddenly you realize there's a mismatch of expectations. Because your parents start comparing your life outside on your own to coming back. And I think like anyone who starts staying alone, like even if you like moving in with a roommate or someone that you have not stayed with for a while, or you've never stayed with alone, the big deal about that is when you move back or move in with someone else, there is an expectation.
There is, yeah.
And I think that whole returning to the nest syndrome, your parents expect you to have grown up a bit, right? Oh, you went there, you took care of yourself. Why are you being like this now? And I think there hasn't been. I think there's not many times that I've heard that there's actually been a situation where parents have the kids come back and you sit through and talk through things like, hey, now things are different. You are a learned intellectual. You've graduated. We want to call you an adult right now. So here you go. Share the workload because we're not charging you rent. I feel that's a discussion that nobody has. But yeah, the returning to the nest syndrome, the MCO, driving a lot of people up the walls, like saying, is this even family? I don't want to stay here anymore,
Yeah.
A lot of people are like
even one of our teammates or so that recently came back from overseas from studies, right? This person also, we had a conversation with this person, and they were saying that it was quite I would say a struggle adjusting back because after being away, you grow up and you have certain changes inside internally, right, or mindset and everything, and you come back and then you are pigeonholed into who you were supposed to be. And I know that doesn't just happen to people who go overseas. I think as you grow up and you have different experiences as you age, right, that also takes place. And sometimes it's frustrating because your parents or your family cannot see that and they don't know how to respond to that, which is fine. So I think instead of talking about the reasons and causes, sometimes, of course, there's two sides of this coin. One of it is just suck it up, just like communicate better, or just be thankful that you have a house. That's one of it, and I don't deny that. I think if you are in a position where you cannot afford, because really, like, it's all about financial planning. It's all about being smart with what you have and what you will have or won't have. And so if you are in a position that you know that, okay, after you do some simple math and you know that it's not going to be worth it for you to move out, get a place for yourself, take care of all the bills you have, and still try to live as comfortably as you are, because you won't be, then just be smart about it. Save up, help your family home, and then when it's time to move out, then do that. But today's podcast is more for people who are in a position where they're like, I'm going to take that step of faith. I know it's not going to be. I know it's not going to be as as comfortable financially for myself. I might have a small room. I might have to share with some people, but I want to do it for my own personal maturity. So let's talk about feasibility. Number one, we'll talk about getting a place. Right. First of all, we need to understand that there's a very real possibility that you won't be staying in a place as big as your current family place, right?
Okay.
Because you are personally financing that shit. So let's get real, manage expectations.
Okay.
A very good way to paint this picture is the reason why people move or get a place for themselves that is within their means is because you have to start doing that anyway. So someone like Caleb in our team, right? He stays near the airport. The freaking airport in Malaysia. So that's like if you stay near the airport, right, and you work in like PJ where we are, that's at least an hour of commuting one way. So Caleb every day spends at least 2 hours on the road, right?
I mean, not to mention his petrol fees is another thing that he spends,
fees, toll.
Just
time is money, and so I count it as cost as well. And then I know some of you are thinking, ayo, but then that's only like Monday to Friday, right? No.
Right.
Caleb's girlfriend stays in PJ also.
Right.
His church is in PJ also.
Yeah.
Caleb basically goes home to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's literally it. And so we've talked to Caleb about it, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to look for a place in PJ, right? And so for someone like Caleb, and he's looking for a place in PJ, he needs to find a place where he is comfortable paying at a portion of his salary every month, because there's rent, there's such a thing called rent, right? But rent doesn't just, it's not just confined to you paying for that space, because you need to occupy that space, you need to fill that space, right? And it's not like you go in there, you just sleep in it. You need to use the electricity, the water, the internet, and even the maintenance fees. So, Mia, give us a rough breakdown of what that looks like on a monthly basis for a small household of 2 people.
So sharing from the side of someone who's actually moved out under circumstances that you have to move out, you need to account for rent. A good, proper, comfortable amount of rent per person if you're staying alone. In Damansara, Kuala Lumpur area, not at least the area around the city center lah. Not to say in KL itself. Let's just not talk about KL, okay? Because KL is just too expensive for anyone to stay unless you're working in a crazy good job. You need to be able to put aside anywhere from $1,000 for a room, not even a house or an apartment. 1,000-1,500 per room. If you got a great deal, you might get a room for like 500 a month at a friend's place. Now that's amazing, just saying lah. 500 to 1,000. But you need to get ready a living expense of at least $2,000 minimum for your rent, your food, your water, your electric. Depends what kind of internet plan you got set up.
We leave food out of it for a while first.
Right.
Just talk about
just electric, water, and internet. Yeah.
Mm.
So the basic necessities of life, you are gonna definitely spend at least $2,000. If you have no one to take care of, just saying lah. And this is just for your house, and I'm not even talking about like, is there a bed in your house? Is there a chair?
Yeah.
Did you buy furniture yet?
Correct.
So there's a lot of this cost. But I would say on the note of Caleb, when you do the math, and you are currently spending more money to literally just travel out of your house.
Yeah.
Than it is then it costs to actually move out. That's a great place to start thinking about moving out if you're a working adult. Because number one, you can get money, it's fine, but the time that you spend on the road, that is more valuable. Just saying. Right, so $2,000 right off the bat to like start living on your own in the KL area. And I'm being I think I'm being very generous with the fact that it should be costing way more than $2,000 a month.
Okay, hold on. Just to quickly stop you there. 2,000 is not the minimum. Okay,
the
2,000
minimum.
It's not because 2,000 is a full apartment. I mean, some people only want to rent a room.
Right. I'm talking about, you want to buy a full apartment, it starts at 2,000.
Okay.
Not including your water, not including your internet,
hold on. I think you're inflating a bit much. We were recently on Property Guru looking at some rental spaces. It doesn't cost that much. So if you're looking at places like Pelangi Utama, Pelangi Damansara, you can actually get slightly lower.
if you want to like, I guess there are places that are cheaper. But you also got to consider the fact that where they are located. The management that runs the apartments, because the minute you go into apartment, there are other fees. Like you need to know that some apartments have very cheap rent because the landlord will offer you very cheap rent, but the management fees and the maintenance fees for the apartment are like $1,000. So I think you maybe these are like just some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way of moving out into my own place that you need to really prepare for, because it is not as simple as just putting down a few $100. It is not. You need to account for, if you want a bigger space, sure. But in every extra square foot that you want for your apartment, you are going to spend more money. Either in electric or rent, or you gotta buy furniture to fill it up. You want to come home to an empty room with one pillow on the floor. I mean, if you can do that, props to you lah, But I definitely think that you want to have a comfortable home with at least a bed and a table. So these are the things that, you can say that, IKEA is cheap. But when you start buying everything together, that's already going to set you back like $10,000, $5,000. We don't know. But there's some things,
So that's step one. Step one is calculate and understand how much you're willing to pay a month. So whether that's 1,000 ringgit to 2,000 ringgit, or even if it's just 700 ringgit, you can find a place. It's not impossible. Whether it's a room to be shared, even in a house in like SS2 BU at Tamatun anywhere. Tamatun, don't touch it. Tamatun is really expensive.
But let me add a step 1B maybe, like not just the calculate. You need to calculate the startup cost for your place.
Yes, correct.
So this does not include the monthly rent, because some places the owner will want you to put down 3 months in advance.
Yes,
or like this like, what do you call it? Security deposit.
Because deposit and whatnot.
They're scared you're going to damage their property and everything, right? So you need to account for the fact that moving out isn't going to cost you like, oh, I found a great place for $700. It's going to cost you way more than $700.
Correct. You'll never cost you. Get ready to pay like 3 times above that.
Yeah, you gotta get a good prep of like $5,000 to $15,000 to start moving out. That is the real cost of starting to move out to a place that I'm assuming is not furnished.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you there again. I don't think 15,000 is a startup cost. That might be inflated also. So if you guys, because I'm pretty sure people moving from Penang to come to KL to work, right? You don't pay 15,000 lump sum lah. Of course, there might be, depends where you find your places. So just be smart about it. Do your own research. Be smart about your finances, and also make sure that you don't starve, right? Because even if you're staying in this sweet ass penthouse in like, I don't know, Bukit Utama, but you're eating like the sandwich wrappers from your neighbor, that's not, you don't want to live like that. All right,
live in your means lah.
Live in your means. That's beautiful.
Live in your means lah. 5 to 15,000, by the way. 15,000 is if the place is like completely bare lah. Just saying lah. If you ever get that deal, okay.
Yes.
So just saying, okay.
Besides that, also think about how long you want to be staying there, right? Think about your future plans, because I think sometimes people blindly rush into a beautiful looking studio apartment. And I'm going to drop some names here, not of people, but of development, right? So this sweet area called Empire Damansara was such a hot piece of property. It was one of our, it was actually our first office, right, for TMT and Core.
Premium.
It was a studio apartment. You go in there and it's basically 1.5 stories, right? 2 stories. And you walk up the stairs, and it's so gorgeous that we were like, wow, it's so nice to live here and everything. And
literally feel amazing staying there.
You feel so bougie, man, seriously. And the greatest part about that is that a lot of people in the creative industry started to move into Empire Damansara. And we were like, and after we were there for like 2 years, 3 years, we were like, dude, we got to move out. We got to expand. And also the maintenance fees and the management is really bad. So we moved out. And that place started to freaking crumble, right? There was like water leaks. The car park had structural damage. There were pillars that were just crumbling. And a lot of people that we knew moved in signed a 2-year lease. And those guys regretted every freaking day of their lives.
So some factors to consider, right? That like definitely the lease, the contract, like whoever you're making that deal with, right? What do you think is a safe amount of years to agree if you want to move out. If let's say, okay, in your position right now, let's say we didn't have the choice of like moving to a family-owned property, right?
Yeah.
What is a safe? What would you think is a safe?
I think usually like the minimum is definitely 1 year, right? But even in that 1 year, I feel like you need to go and do research on that place itself.
Right.
So whether or not you're looking at online reviews of the property, the management, or people who have stayed there before, you need to go and really suss out the place. Because if you don't do that, right, you really don't know what kind of hole you're going to be living in.
Yeah, then you get a Desmond situation.
Yeah, and then which is a story that we've talked about. We'll talk about again later.
Yeah, we talked about it
but
last time.
It's really important to do that because it's not as if like, okay, when you buy a phone or you buy a car, you're obviously going to do a bit of research about it, right? You need to know what you're buying, and I think that is more than important when it comes to your rental, your home, or your whatever you're buying. Because if you don't do it right, really, you're going to be in for the biggest shock of your life. What if you find out that the water there is like tanki water and there's a dead body on top of the tanki? Like that kind of shit is like, you cannot expect that. I mean, okay, you cannot expect that lah. But you just basically, I'm saying you just gotta do your research and also be smart about just the lease that you're gonna sign on. Like just because it's a good price doesn't mean you should lock yourself down to a 3 to 5 year lease. Like that's bad decision making. Like don't do that, you'll die. So that's just kind of like basic things that you should worry and care about. The next thing you should worry about, or actually the next thing you should consider, is taking care of yourself. And so things like laundry and dishes and cleaning out your bathroom drain sink, stuff like that, getting the hair out, all the pubes and stuff. I feel like a lot of this is that we take it for granted because, back home in our houses and stuff like that, either sometimes, our mates do it or we get a cleaner or even someone else does it. If you don't do it, you take these things for granted and you don't see that when you are living in your room, going out, having fun, come back, and you only use your house as a bed and breakfast, right? And all of these things really matter because when you go out and live alone, right, there's nobody who's going to change your bed sheets for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you leave your bed sheet like that, it's going to stay that way until you come back, lah. Basically,
correct.
And because there's no one else in the house. Yeah.
Even if no one's changing your bed sheets, one thing that people don't even realize is that they need to change bed sheets. And so I know people who don't even change bed sheets.
Yeah.
Right?
Like when do you wash your curtains?
Correct.
Like, do people concern themselves about this kind of things these days? Like,
I honestly don't know, man.
It's a crash course, Like, I think a great way to think to test and see, right, if you're ready for that, right, is if you're living with a family or like let's say, okay lah, for those who are more privileged, right, if you are living with a maid, right, you try for 2 months. Just tell your family, tell your maid, do not touch anything that you own. So like your bathroom, your bed, your clothes, right? Divide it to have your own stash of laundries or dishes or whatnot, and really see if you can handle 2 months of it.
Correct.
Because like suddenly you got to factor in, right? When you come home and you want to do work or you want to kick back and relax, right? You have this list of work to do. If you don't, your place becomes a pigsty. Literally
really?
That.
That's so true.
Yeah, you will start developing allergies and sneezing. For some reason, suddenly you don't understand why your friends don't come over and visit you anymore. All these kind of things actually add up, and it's an interesting thing to see, lah. Because I'll be honest, right? Like moving in to this place. I mean, we don't even stay in like a huge apartment for 2 people, by the way. Like I think Suyin and I stay in quite a fairly medium-sized apartment for 2 people. But the amount of cleaning that we need to do every single day for 2 people, and this is splitting the workload between 2 people, is insane. Like if you don't have someone, I think if you don't have someone dedicated to continuously sweep every day, the difference of not sweeping the floors for 1 day, just 1 day, is freaking crazy. Like and depends. I mean, some people are like a bit more, your hair falls a bit more, or you're a bit more like you scratch a lot and all your shit comes off your skin, right? I don't care.
Oh my lord! Okay.
It's a really big factor. I mean, you don't talk about sweeping, right? You think like when you said the hair in the toilet.
Oh my sweetness!
It's crazy. It came out of your own head, but for some reason you don't want to touch it in the toilet hole.
Yeah,
why?
Correct.
I don't understand. And things like you don't think about, like suddenly, right? Suddenly make a lot of problems for you, like wiping the fan or or changing the light bulbs or
Correct. Or even like ironing your clothes.
Yeah,
washing
the amount of time.
like putting in the detergent. Do you know how to do that?
Correct. And then while you're doing that, you need to keep an eye on, do I have enough detergent? Which detergents are running out? Is my broom even working properly anymore?
Yeah.
And then you have to this whole myriad of, number one, you got to take care of yourself, right? Then you got to take care of your house. Then to take care of yourself and your house, you need to take care of the stock of things that you have, like soaps and cloths and stuff that you have in your house to take care of your damn self. And then you realize one day you're boiling soup, you don't have a ladle. And how are you going to serve your soup? True story.
Take
that
it easy.
literally happened to me. Okay,
All
sorry.
right.
Okay, coming back.
So I think without sounding too uncle and nagging about it, right? The reality of the situation is that when you take care of yourself, when you live alone, there are things that you don't. I guess really taking for granted is such a common thing because when you come back, you're already fed, you have food on the table, and you basically just go up to your room, you take a shower, and then you plop yourself on your bed or your computer, and you're watching Netflix for the rest of the night. That I don't think happens when you are living alone because even when you live alone, I come back from university, right? I have to start thinking about what I'm cooking for dinner. I have to take out meats from the freezer to defrost. I have to do my laundry, and sometimes you can't do your laundry because you're only living like one person, and you can't waste water like that. And so you have to wait for more things to wash, and then you got to separate your clothes into whites and colors. There's so many things that go into being an independent person. Yeah, and what we're saying to you is just just think about the different processes of every part of your day: morning, afternoon, evening, and night. What are the things that go on with and without your knowledge that you would probably have to oversee alone, right?
Yeah. I mean, given people are going to say like, hey, but we live in a time now, got, food deliveries lah, got Dobies lah, you can call people to come and clean your house lah. Yeah, it's still
by
the
all
same
means, do it
thing.
lah.
Yeah, you can do it, but you still need to plan for it, and you still need to make time for it. Don't tell me you're going to you're going to come to my house and, I'm not going to be around, they can come during work. Sure. Yeah, then they'll leave with like half of your stuff as well, Like everything when you start living on your own becomes your responsibility, like it or not. Yeah. Because I think the flip side to that is having all the freedom in the world to live on your own, you also have all the responsibilities if anything goes wrong in your own place. Yeah. Because you got no one else to blame, quote unquote. So I think you really gotta consider it, especially people like, this seems a bit crazy, right? But during the MCO, people who are getting fed up with staying with someone else, you gotta consider the fact that don't make an emotional choice about moving out during this season because your emotions are definitely going to be affected if you can't handle living on your own. And let's just not even begin to talk about the loneliness some of my friends are going through for 2 months living on their own already. Okay?
I think just a quick note about that one. I think, I also foresee that after the MCO MRO, there's going to be such a surge in the property market for people who are looking to rent because of the emotional decisions that they're making, right? Right. But also, maybe that's a good place to land on in terms of also just being responsible about yourself and don't feel like the world's against you when you move out, because again, this podcast isn't supposed to discourage you from moving out. Like, by all means, do it, right? If you feel like it's a choice you want to make and challenge yourself, do it, right? But you cannot feel that you are. You can. I don't think you're supposed and allowed to. This is my genuine thought on this, that I don't think you should be in a position where you feel you're entitled to be sad or angry that you have all these chores to do. Like, if someone says to you, hey man, how's it going at home? Or like, how are you doing? And you get angry at your partner or your boyfriend or girlfriend or somebody because, I have to do so much chores. I'm like, okay, well, you signed up for that anyway. Yeah, I
think we've definitely grown up. I think the majority of us who have been very fortunate to grow up in this middle to either lower middle or upper middle class in our country. That means you stay in a satellite city like Petaling or any of the Jalan Ipoh or Klang or whatnot, right? These satellite cities, I think with our parents being the ones that are brought up in a very hardy time and they don't complain about doing work, we definitely have benefited from the fact that our parents have been more than willing to help us out with chores, to clean the house, and making it seem to us like it's a task that we need to do when we can. And when you move out, the reality hits that these are not tasks. These are necessities of life. If you want to have a well kept, holistic, clean life. And man, we haven't even started talking about if you're going to move into a house with other people yet. There's a whole shitstorm on its own that I mean, Mingyu has lived with random other students before in the UK.
Oh my goodness.
You know, if you just happen to have one unsavory housemate, let's not even get to that for now. You know, maybe we'll say that for another time.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good time to say, like, you know, appreciate your families, appreciate the fact that you have this choice. But be realistic about it. If you feel that it's too much of a financial burden for you to move out,
then just don't do it. Yeah.
Tell your parents lah. You know, they don't let them assume that you're not moving out because you don't want, right? You gotta communicate. And if your parents, like for example, I can share from my part, if your parents are insistent of like taking it a step further and saying like, okay, you need to purchase this property because it's a good reason to move out. Just be honest with financial situations. For me personally, I just talked to my parents and said that, I would like to, if you initiated this conversation, if my parents initiated, I would say like, okay, you help me get there because I'm not in a proper place to do this successfully. So help me get there. On the issue of parents though, when this podcast comes out, we are going to be that much closer to Mother's Day. And,
correct.
Just want to shout out for every mother out there who's making life easier for you right now. Cooking dinners lah, picking out your stupid underwear lah. You know, the reason why you have a comfortable life right now. Stop this podcast for a while. Go and hug your mother and say thank you, mom.
Please go.
Yeah. Thank you, mom. I am trash without you. Just say
I
am
trash without you.
Just say I love you, mom. Happy Mother's Day coming up and seriously, one of the best presents you can give your mom, our parents always joke about it, is do your own work lah, do your own chores and surprise your mom. And maybe, you know, two birds with one stone. You can test whether you're ready to move out the house or not. And, not spend anything to, you know, get a good present for your Mother's Day. Don't say it. I didn't say that. Mothers, you did not hear that. Yeah.
I think essentially just, you know, our parents just want to see us be able to take care of ourselves so that they don't have to worry about it. So, I mean, celebrate Mother's Day in the best way that you can. Do something nice for your mom. I know there are a couple of businesses that are doing special Mother's Day promos and offers. I know Inside Schools, they have a Mother's Day cake. I saw that on my Facebook and Instagram. So check that out if you want. If we're still going to be in the MCO state, then, you know, order something nice for your mom. Buy her a gift off like one of the shopping websites. You know, surprise her, make it a nice day. But I mean, just in closing for our topic for today about moving out, again, we want you all to realize that, you know, that it's number one, it's not something that people talk about often in Asia, because, you know, of our strong family ties and all of that. And so culturally, it's not something that our parents are open to. And I know a lot of your parents are also maybe not so keen of the idea of you moving out, especially if it's still, you know, in the same area, still in PJ. You're not moving and migrating overseas or states. So that's something that maybe you need to have patience explaining to your parents, talk to them, help them understand your reasoning why you're doing it. Yeah. You need to understand the reason why you're doing it as well. If it's just to get out of the family home because you're arguing with them, then maybe before that, just really think about where you are in your relationship with your parents. Because something I think is very important. So is even after you move out, does that mean you're never going to see your parents again? Are you going to visit them once a week?
Yeah, that becomes a responsibility on its own.
Correct.
You know?
So you got to be intentional with your relationships as well. But that being said, we just want to do a quick shout out to any of you guys who are feeling oppressed at home. If you guys are having any physical, mental, any form of abuse, and you feel that this is a podcast that is challenging you to maybe seek help and get out of it, please send in a message to us at the takeaway table. We want to be able to connect you guys to the relevant support groups and authorities. And of course, we won't disclose any personal information out to the public. But if you guys are in that situation, please understand that things can be done, even if you're not earning a lot of money to support yourself financially outside of your current family home. So please reach out if you guys are in that situation. But for everyone else who is thinking about this, you know, as a possible next step of your career in your life and your, you know, just being an adult, I think it's important to take into consideration what we've talked about today. Things like finance, research, planning, being just being okay to live on your own, taking on all that responsibility. We want to wish you all the best because it's a necessary step into being an independent adult, right? And if you are planning to get married with your partner, you need to be independent, because if not, you don't expect your partner to take care of you. Right?
Yeah, please do not take this so nonchalantly. Don't. I mean, we've said it before. This is not an emotional choice, guys. I think it always sounds like something you've talked about with yourself or with your parents. This whole deal about moving out. I think what you really got to realize that this is a life change, and it's a very significant life change into you becoming your own person. So, I mean, for everyone who is considering this, you need to consider the fact that life will change, full stop, right? It's not so much about, there's going to be a lot of financial responsibility on my part. No, that's just life, right? That's just a responsibility of life. Whether you move out or not, soon there will come a time where even your parents won't be able to earn money anymore, and it will fall onto you. So that is not something I'm talking about. I think when you do move out, you start your own home. And I think when you understand that fact that your small room that you're moving into becomes your realm, becomes your castle, these things play a big part into the person that you're going to become for the next 2 to 3 years that you're staying in this place. Like if like the student you become away from your parents for those 2 to 3 years, that is a stage of life. And when you move out of your parents' home, quote unquote, as a permanent decision, that's a very big comma. There's a very big new chapter in your life, and everything we talked about today is just the beginning of it. Worrying about responsibilities, about finance, about chores. That's just the first building blocks you are going to experience when you move out. There are so many things that are coming up that you need to consider, and you just need to really know. You need to step into this choice knowing that it's just so much more than moving your pillow on which you rest your head at night. This is your declaration to your parents that I am going to become my own person. And this is, whether you're aware of it or not, this is a declaration to your own self and saying that I'm not going to depend on the things that I used to depend on. I want to build my own roof over my head. And well, life is going to test you on all the principles that you've built, all your habits that you've built, whether or not you felt that you were a clean person or not, that's going to be tested. Whether or not you felt that you cook good food, that's going to be tested. This is a life choice, guys. It's not an emotional or monetary choice most of the time. Maybe it is. This is a huge chapter in life. So for everyone who is listening in and you feel that you've been pushed to make this by your parents, let them know that this is something you got to think about, you got to plan for. Don't do this in a hurry, please. All right, that's it. There's anything I can talk about. Moving out of my home for me took me a year's planning. With Suyan, my then fiance, together, right? And this takes time. We would love to share more in the future, maybe, because even the stuff that Mingyu talked about, like looking for a proper place to like apartment building, like a management. We didn't even talk about like landlords and housemates. If you guys want to hear more about that, let us know, because this is the time of life that we are going through as well, and learn from our mistakes, learn from our pains. And I hope you've enjoyed today's really interesting podcast. Go and tell your mom you love her too. And tell your dad too. Please don't leave him out. So guys, thanks so much for listening. If you guys want more Takeaway Table, we're available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and Instagram as well. Check out the Duduk Rumah series on the Main Thing Instagram. And if you are still in the MCO as we are, please be safe. Wipe your butts, clean your hands, wash your phones. Wash your damn phones. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Goodbye.